Hi everyone, in this video I will teach you how to create a super cool intro in Scratch very easily. You can add this to any of your projects. Let me show you what it looks like. This is super easy to make, so if you want a cool intro like this and want to understand how its code works, then make sure you watch this video until its end. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this project. First, create two lists, one called letter positions Y and another one called letter positions X. In those lists, we will store the information where the letters have to go. For example, in the letter positions X list, we will have all the X positions for the letters. Then create a new variable and call it counter, and we will use that one later. Now go to your backdrops and draw a dark gray square that fills the entire screen, like this. And then make another backdrop where you just have nothing, like that. In the first sprite, make sure that for your costumes you have every letter of your name. And for showing you, I will use the name. And the reason why I have this twice is so that the name is long enough that I can show you what you have to do if you have a longer name. Because programming this project will be easier with a shorter name. By the way, I made these letters using the website cooltext.com, but you can also just make the letters regularly with the text option from Scratch. Now let's start programming. Take a when flag is clicked block, then hide, then delete all of letter positions X and delete all of letter positions Y. For the following code, everybody is going to have something different. We will add X and Y positions of our letters to the correspondent lists. Since I have 8 letters, I will only add 8 X and 8 Y positions, but this might be different for you. Just try out different positions so that in the end your name is centered. If your name is too long to fit in just one line, like mine, then just take different Y positions and break the name in several parts. Like for example, instead of name, in one line name, and in the second line name again. To have different lines, just use different Y positions. Make sure that the letters that are in the same line also have the same Y positions. Now I will add the X positions for every letter of my name. So let's first have add -80 to letter positions X, then -25, then 25, and then 80. And this is going to be the first line. So you see the N is going to have the X -80, the A -25, the M 25, and the E is going to be 80. And then I will have my the second half of my name underneath it, and since it's underneath it, it's going to have the same X positions. And now I will add all the Y positions, and for this one it's easier since I only have 2 lines. The first line is going to be on the height of 30. So for all 4 letters that are in the first line, we will add 30 to the Y list. Let's change all of them. And the second line is going to be on -30 for the Y position. So let's add -30 everywhere. And then put this underneath there. If you have any questions on that, ask me, but just keep in mind that every letter has its own X position and every letter has its own Y position, and that the letters, if you have a longer name and you break your name in 2 halves and have the first half in one line and the second half in the other line, like I just did, then you just need different Y positions too. And of course, every letter in the same line has to have a different X position, otherwise the letters are going to be on top of each other. Now we will use our counter variable. Let's set counter to 1 and then take a repeat block, and in there you want to put the number of letters that your name has. So for example, for me that's going to be 8 because I have 8 letters from my name. But you might also have, I don't know, if I took my Scratch name, for example, it would have 10 letters. Now put in the loop a hide, then take switch costume to, and then counter, the variable counter, then go to, and then as the Y position put in 280, and then for the X position take item counter again of letter X positions. Then we will have show, then glide in 0.2 seconds to, and then X position again item counter of letter X positions, and then for the Y position letter counter of item counter of letter Y positions. And don't worry, I will explain all of that in a second. Then take as an extension your pen and take stamp, then take hide, and now I'm going to use sounds that I have recorded, and those will be available in the description. So I have recording 2 and recording 1, and we will play start sound recording 1, then change counter by 1, and then outside of the loop wait 0.7 seconds, then start the sound of recording 2, and finally broadcast shine. What a long block of code. Let me explain what all of this means. First, we have a loop that repeats itself as many times as there are costumes. And with the switch costume to counter block, every time the loop goes, the sprite switches to the next costume. So in that case, you could have also used the block next costume instead. I just decided that this way of doing it would be nicer. We are also using the block item counter of X list or Y list quite often. But what does that mean? So the first time the loop repeats, the counter will obviously be 1. Then our code looks at the letter positions X list. So that would be this list here. And then it looks what is the first item of this. And that would be 80. And therefore it's going to move as to the X position 80, since the counter is 1. If the counter were 2, so that would mean if the loop had repeated twice, we would have the next letter, that would be A, and A would go to the second item of this list, which is 25. So this one would go to the X position 25. Of course, the same happens for the Y position. So if you have Y item counter of letter Y positions, and say you have the letter M, but this is the seventh M, the second M, then it would look, okay, what's the 7th X position? 25. And then what's the 7th Y position? -30. And then it goes to 25, -30. After that, it stamps so that you still see the name after it goes, you still see the letter after it goes away. So in total, what this does is, first it switches to a different costume every time. Then it goes high up, since the Y position is 280. So it goes very high up. Then it shows, and then it glides down to the position where it has to go. Then it stamps, it hides, it plays the sound that you can download from the description, and then it changes counter by 1, and the loop is repeated again. So then that would be a different costume and a different position to go for the letter. If you have questions on that, also ask me in the comments, and I will try to respond as fast as possible. Okay, now let's create a new sprite. And this one is going to be fairly simple, so just take a white color, then go to a circle, Then take here, I don't know how that's called, but just click on that symbol and swap with nothing. It has to be transparent. And then click Shift while making the circle so that it is a perfect circle, and then center it. And also don't forget to make it very big. That's going to be it for the costume. Go to the code and take a when flag is clicked, show, but set ghost effect to 100, and then in the end you will still not see it since the ghost effect is 100. Then take our broadcast when I receive shine and then repeat 5 times. Wait 0.1 seconds. Change ghost effect by -10. Then at the end, wait 2 seconds. And then broadcast intro over. And finally, take when I receive intro over, hide. Now go back to the sprite 1 and take when I receive intro over, hide, and erase all from the pen extension. Then also go to the backdrops, take when flag is clicked, so at the beginning of the intro, switch costume to the gray background, which is backdrop 1, and then when we receive intro over, switch to the backdrop 2. And if you want to have, for example, a game after this intro, use when I receive intro over as a starting block instead of when flag is clicked, and then everything should work out fine. Alright, so let's test that out. First hide all the variables and lists, and now let's click on that. Pretty cool. If you have any video recommendations, like what tutorial I should do next, write it in the comments so I can have a look at it. Otherwise, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it or learned something, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. Bye. If you have any recommendations, like what tutorial I should do next, write it in the comments so I can have a look at it. Otherwise, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it or learned something, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. Bye.